Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Pownal Public Information Hearing at the town office on February 13th, 2023 at 7 PM. I'll call the meeting to order. Board member roll call. Mike Gardner.
Jamie Percy
Bobbin.
Ms. Bauman. Okay.
will be there.
Approval of the agenda, the select board statements regarding ballot articles. Frequently asked questions regarding ballot articles, public questions and answers, and then adjourn. Because this is not a regular select board meeting or a special meeting, we do not need a quorum to continue this. It's an informational hearing. What I will ask is, and I'll reiterate this if I have to, is I do not want this to get confrontational. I will not let it get confrontational. We are here to answer questions. If we cannot answer a question, we will take the question down and we will answer that question in a timely fashion. It's a new format. We've never tried this, or at least I haven't tried it. So we're going to try it and see how it goes, but it's definitely not going to be a debate or a confrontational meeting whatsoever. Want to get some information out there if we can. Want to and answer any questions that may or may not come up.
We'll keep comments to 3 minutes.
I don't know if we have to do that, Jamie. You will see how it goes. That's a good point, but if there's kind of a hearing, I'd like to try to let people talk a little bit if they can, and not keep it at the 3 minute point. If we get bombarded with a lot of things, then maybe we have to do something, but I want to make sure that people understand and know what is going on. And that's the whole goal of this, at least my goal. So the select board statement regarding ballot articles, I guess we'll start there. Can I steal your time, please?
Find the spot you're looking for first.
No, that's right. Thank you. So this meeting was generally, I wanted to do this for two reasons. One was for the frequently asked questions that we'll get to next. But first and foremost, things have come up where the select board has made proposals to the residents and taxpayers of the town without a whole lot of explanation and reasoning for what we feel is the reasons for giving people options. Not that we're pro or con either way, we just want to give our residents and taxpayers options. Which is going to bring me to Article 4 and Article 5, most importantly. And Article 6.
I really think Article 4 should be the one that would button everything up if passed.
Exactly.
Honestly,
So
because
at least my reason for Article 4 is the elimination of I'll read the article. Shall the town authorize the elimination of the elected constable position and replace it with a professionally qualified constable appointed by the select board? So we've come into some situations where the select board has come under fire for different things that we have zero control over. And the elected constable is one of those positions where if something were to go haywire, I guess, for lack of a better term right now, with an elected constable, the select board actually has very limited control to handle the situation. And I think that's the big reason that we put this on there, and let the town, let the residents decide what they want or don't want to do. So Jamie, do you have something on that?
yeah, this is the second time that we've had this article up for ballot. And that was our goal, is just, so basically the town select board, if they felt, the need to, get a law enforcement individual, we could put them under the constable title if we were allowed to appoint versus elect. And we could actually have a proper job description for that position. And it just gives the town another option if there, for whatever reason, there was no other option that was feasible, as far as law enforcement for our town. I know, I don't think we explained it well enough the first time. It was a couple of years ago. If I remember right. I can't remember exactly when, but it's been since I've been on the board. We attempted to, we did ask the voters to go from elected to appointed once before. And that's basically the reason why, is so it gives the town more options as far as law enforcement and code enforcement if needed, other than VSP. Right now we have the sheriff's department instead of the constable, but if something happens, then we have another option. So.
Tara, I know you've done a lot of research on this back and forth, so
I think it's important to recognize the quality of the individual that you are able to appoint versus, who can run to be elected. Anybody can run. And so sometimes we may not get qualified individuals that run. We may have someone resign halfway through, things like that, are possible. So if it's an appointed position, then that sort of eliminates that. It also, sort of reduces the risk of having a law enforcement officer appointed rather than elected, because it's just, let's face it, if the select board has oversight, it's less of a liability for the town.
And the other piece that kind of put or steered us into that ballot article is the state statute change. And unfortunately, my phone's not working, so I can't bring up that statute to explain the differences of what it was versus what it is now. And the responsibility that the state has imposed within the constable position. So that's the other issue.
So I think what I'm gonna do, so this is a new format. I see we have some guests in the waiting room. I'd like to open up comment on that at this point, and only on that part of it, on Article 4. If anybody has any questions or comments, I'd like to open up right now to see if anybody has anything. All good? Okay. Article 5, shall the voters authorize the select board to appoint a first constable and if needed, a second constable in accordance with 17 VSA? Which is very self-explanatory. I don't think we need to get into a whole bunch of that. It's just the voters are authorizing the select board, and I think we covered all of that. And part of the reason for the redundancy, I guess, in those two articles is we were advised by the VLCT, if I'm not mistaken, right, Tara, to have those two articles kind of together. So even though they seem to be almost identical articles, they're really not, and it was what was advised by the VLCT for us to do.
And number 6, I can speak to, is very redundant also, but again, it's for transparency so that people understand what we're trying to do. It was on the ballot last year to possibly remove the law enforcement duties of a constable if they weren't trained. It didn't pass last year, but what happens is people remember, well, I voted on that, and they might not remember exactly how the vote was. What VLCT said is that it actually doesn't hinge on voter results.
Right.
That the select board can make that decision on their own. But it, again, it's just for the most transparency of what we're trying to do. That's why it's on there. Again.
So I'm gonna read Article 6. Shall the voters authorize the town constable, if they hold the required state certification, to exercise law enforcement authority in accordance with 24 VSA 1936A? And I think Tara nailed that exactly. It is redundant, but this is how we were advised. And it also still gives the voters some say in what goes on, whether or not the voters authorized the town and the select board to have a constable that can perform law enforcement.
Right, so basically, 5 and 6 hopefully cover the town if 4 stays to an elected position.
Right.
That's what people need to understand.
Yes.
But if 4 goes to appointed position, then the select board will create a job description for the article that is actually listed in number 6.
Yeah.
For law enforcement, code enforcement duties. So,
Yes.
I mean,
So I'd like to open up again, any questions on Article 5 or Article 6? Or if anybody thought of anything on Article 4. I'd certainly open it up right now to have some discussion on that if anybody's interested.
No hands.
No hands? Okay. I think that was the only thing that we wanted to talk about, ballot articles.
Because the rest are your
The
standard
rest are standard.
requests of money amounts.
I guess what I'd like to do though, if anyone has any questions on any of the ballot articles that appear in the town report, now would be a good time to ask any questions. If you have a question on something, chances are other than budget stuff, we won't be able to answer for you, but we can sure reach out and try to get an answer. So if anybody has anything.
And usually the people who submit for those ballot articles will answer.
Exactly. I'm not gonna answer for them, but we will certainly reach out to whatever organization if there is a question and we will get an answer because they are, great point, Ellen. They're great about answering the questions, so.
but we can have the questions prepared for our town meeting night.
Right,
The
or the 27th,
Yep,
so.
for the said representative.
So does anybody have any questions on any other ballot articles that are on the town report?
How many people have picked up a town report so far?
I would say at least 100.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few go out of here the days that I've been in.
And it's funny, a lot of people think, it's sort of bring your postcard and trade for the book.
Yep.
It's a very, unique thing to get used to because nobody's done it before, but it's an interesting thing. I'm like, oh, you can keep that actually. It's an extra.
No hands up? Okay, so,
We'll post this on.
yeah, we have a FY 24 tax breakdown. It's a little pie chart here that Tara has, I believe Tara, Ellen and Hannah all worked on this. And, it breaks down how your tax dollars are spent. And Ellen just informed me that this is very consistent from year to year, on these percentages. This will be posted on the website so that, I'll read what they are, but it'll be posted so everyone can see it. This exact pie chart will be posted, correct? So road taxes, 17% of your tax dollars go to road. 11% of your tax dollars go to general fund. 6% to ballot articles, 2% to the sewer bond. Education local agreement tax, 0%. Estimated school tax for the SVSU is 64% of your tax dollars go to, the school tax.
It's pretty eye-opening to see it in the pie chart.
It is. I mean,
And that's
well,
for FY
for
24.
fiscal year 24,
It's for the budget that you.
the budget you're voting on, that's correct. The budget that's in this town report, on Article 7 and Article 8.
That's March 7th, right?
Yes.
So, obviously we can answer questions on the road, the general fund, the ballot articles, school tax, that's kind of out of our league, so. We can,
Right.
we can do the other, you know, 28, 34, 36%. The 64%, we're in trouble. So as far as answering questions.
And if we don't have any questions, I'm just gonna chalk it up to, you've done a great job answering them.
We have tried during our select board meeting.
We have tried, yes. So hopefully,
So right now I would like to open it up to frequently asked questions regarding ballot articles. If someone has a question, or a comment, now's the time. Nothing?
Nothing about the town report at all.
Yeah, anybody have any questions, comments about the town report, good or bad? I'd like to hear them.
There are only two people in, two of them are, one's me and one's the conference with
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
this thing.
all right.
I can read it without my glasses. So I'm appreciative of that.
I think the town report this year is, for the very first time, doing it in this format and this way. I'm extremely pleased with it. I think it's, first off, it is much easier to read. But it's also easier to follow the budget portion of it.
Having a figure is wonderful.
Yeah, the bigger is better. But the budget portion of it is really broken down, but it's broken down so that you can actually see it and understand it.
Yes.
And it also should be much easier for people to find, things that they have a question on, I would think.
Would hope.
So. All right, public questions and answers.
you're making our jobs very easy today.
So what, the other thing I'd like to do is, we have another one of these scheduled for the 27th of February, 2 Mondays from now, same time, 7 PM. Please get the word out to your friends, neighbors, whatever. I really and truly would like to have some questions, just because. And I think Tara's probably right. If we don't get a lot of questions, I guess we've done a pretty good job explaining it. But our goal with this whole process is to have questions that can be answered now, or even on the night of town meeting, we can come back with answers, which is probably gonna be the case after the 27th. But rather than someone walking away on Monday night at the town meeting, not having the answer to their question, not knowing what the answer might or might not be, my goal was to try to have these questions answered before, so that the taxpayers were educated on what's going on and what we're asking for. And, so that you have your questions answered. I mean, that's our big goal. That was my big goal anyway. Guess if there's nothing else on there, Hannah, we can be done. Thank you everyone for attending. And we'll be back the 27th.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, we don't have one.
No.